Hello everyone, my name is Ivan D. Gamit. With my partner, Normea S. Parasan, we are going to discuss to you what is information processing in facilitating a learner-centered teaching. Our lessons learning objectives are to discuss the essence of information processing and theory, to explain the process, Hello everyone, my name is Ivan D. Gamit. With my partner, Normea S. Parasan, we are going to discuss to you what is information processing in facilitating a learner-centered teaching. Our lessons learning objectives are to discuss the essence of information processing and theory, and to explain the process of information processing and information processing theory model. But before that, let me introduce to you the overview of our topic. Our topic discussion focuses on the information processing and information processing theory, its definition and uses. After that, we're going to introduce to you the types of knowledge such as general, specific, declaration, procedural, episodic, and conditional. After that, we're going to present to you the strategies in information processing theory and its purpose, such encoding, storage, and retrieval. We're going to discuss also to you the role of sensory register, the types of memory, what is forgetting, methods to increase retrieval of information, the role of attention, information processing method, and the connection of all of these terms. So, what is information processing? Information processing is a cognitive theoretical framework that focuses on how knowledge enters and stored in and is retrieved from a person's memory. It is a process on how knowledge are absorbed, digested, stored, and remembered when needed. Next, what is information processing theory? Information processing theory describes how the learner receives, perceives, stores, and retrieves information from the environment through the senses. It looked at how and what takes place in between determines whether the information will continue to pass through the sensory register, then the short-term memory and long-term memory. This theory will determine if the informations and how long is the duration of it in person's memory after passing the sensory register. Next, here's the constructed outline of information processing theory. We have the types of knowledge, stages, and execute control process. First, the types of knowledge. We have first, general versus specific. This involves whether the knowledge is useful in many tasks or in one. It determines if the challenge is versatile for more or many purpose or for only specific one. Then we have declarative. This refers to the factual knowledge. It may be in the form of images or words. Examples are name, age, and photos. Third, we have procedural. This includes knowledge of how to do things. Example, a procedure on how to cook food or doing laundry. Fourth, we have episodic. This refers to the memories of life events like birthdays and anniversaries. Lastly, we have conditional. This is about knowing when and why to apply declarative or procedural strategies. Then, we have stages in information processing theory. The three major processing are encoding. In here, information is sensed, perceived, and attended. Then, next is storage. The information from encoding is stored either for short or long periods depending upon the process following the encoding. And last, we have retrieval. The information is brought back at the appropriate time and reactivated for use on a current task and accurate measure of effective memory. Now, let's discuss the function of sensory register. The capacity of mind can receive a significant amount of information, but it is more than what our minds can hold and perceive. This means that our mind has the capacity to store information, but it can do more in holding and perceiving information. With regards to duration, the sensory register only holds the information for an extremely brief period in order of 1 to 3 seconds. In here, the sensory register states that information only lasts for a short period of time. However, auditory memory is more persistent than visual. It is said and emphasized that it is better learning comes from auditory memory rather than visual memory.
So, good morning, and moving forward, we will be tackling the information processing model, which includes the sensory motor, the short-term memory, and long-term memory. So first, information processing theories basically explain how, information processing theory attempts to explain how we humans think. So the information processing theory is based on the idea that humans actively process the information they receive from their senses, like a computer does. Learning is what is happening when our brains receive information, records it, molds it, and stores it. In information processing theory, as the students take in information, that information is first or briefly stored in our sensory storage, then moved to the short-term memory or working memory, and then either forgotten or transferred to the long-term memory. For information to enter our short-term memory or consciousness, it has to be detected by our senses. This is called the sensory memory or the sensory motor. Memory for visual information or vision is called iconic memory, while sensory memory for auditory information is called echoic memory, and these are the sounds. In your long-term memory or in our long-term memory, the process of taking the information from our short-term memory and storing it to our long-term memory is called encoding. And in the process of taking an old memory from our long-term memory and bringing it to our consciousness or our short-term memory is called retrieval. So, there are various terminologies here mentioned, like in forgetting. There are two main ways where forgetting is most likely to happen. The first is decay. So decay, this refers to the information that is not attended to and eventually fades away. So this is prevalent in working memory. These are the information that are not being used most of the time. And another terminology or way is interference. It pertains to new or old information that blocks access to the information in question. And another thing, there are methods to increase retrieval of information, according to Gamit, Arnulfo, and Elikay. So the first one is rehearsal. It is verbatim repetition of information, either mentally or aloud. Another term is meaningful learning. This is making a connection between new information and prior knowledge. Organization, it is making connections among various pieces of information. Info that is organized efficiently should be called. Another, elaboration, this is adding additional ideas to new information based on what one already knows. It is connecting new information with the old information we have gained. Another is visual imagery. This means forming a picture of information. Generation, things we produce is easier to remember than the things we hear. Another is context, which is remembering the situation that helps us recover the information. Another is the personalization. It is making the information relevant to the individual. So another memory methods first is the serial position effect, recency, and primacy. You will most likely to remember the beginning and end of the list more readily. Another is part learning. Break up the list or chunk information to increase memorization. Third, distributed practice. Break up learning sessions rather than cramming all the info all at once. And the last one is the mnemonic aids. These are memory techniques that learners may employ to help them retain and retrieve information more effectively. This includes the technique, acronyms, sentence construction, word and association techniques, among others. So reflecting to the lesson about the information processing, I must say that this lesson helped us a lot help us in understanding how our minds actually work or how it handles the information we are learning or being instilled to us. Now that we have learned about the information processing theory, I believe that in the near future, this would play an essential role in our career as educators.